welcome back to coverage of the Mythic Championship qualifier here in Vienna, Austria. I'm Matej. I'm here for most of the day, and this round I'm joined by Patrick. Well, you were here last round,
I
right?
was here last round when you were eating. Now I'm back, giving Matthias the chance to eat something.
Yeah, and hopefully then you'll get the chance to eat yourself, because you've been very busy with the metagame breakdown.
Yeah, metagame breakdown and all the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're the head of everything. We called you the head of the technical department, and we called you the head of everything. So at this point, you're pretty important to making sure everything runs smoothly here.
Yeah, I try my best. I always do the coverage stuff, the technical stuff, the overlays and everything, and then the internet screws me over. So, yeah, but we try our best.
I'm happy so far, and I think the viewers that have been watching today have been also quite happy with the type of match that has been shown. I thought the matches were always very interesting.
Yeah, I think the metagame itself is very interesting at the moment. You have a lot of different decks, you have a lot of different choices, and it's shifting all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I spoke with Matthias about it. I was quite surprised that we have over 21% of mono red decks here.
Yeah, wow.
And we haven't seen one in the stream, and we again don't have one in the stream. We just pick by standings and names, and yeah.
No mono red just yet. Like, they're not showing up at the top tables for now.
For now, maybe we just dodge them.
Mm-hmm.
But you see a Dreadhorde combo from Summersberger against Esper Superfriends.
Yeah. So, like, again, a more of a classic matchup, something that we've seen before, and I'm very curious to see how it plays out, because there are many interesting play patterns between these two decks.
Yeah.
And this time we also get two good players on both sides. Helmut Summersberger is known for being a ringer back in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah, and he comes back from time to time, play a GP, qualifies for something, play there, then goes under again.
Yeah, and he comes back again randomly.
Yeah.
He's always a very solid player. And Adrian Schrenk, actually, we looked it up. He was part of the Austrian World Magic Cup team 2 years ago when they top-8ed with Oliver Polak-Rothman.
Yeah.
As well as Elias Klocker was also on the team, which was a very strong team.
Yeah,
now.
very solid.
In retrospect, yeah, it was very well done for them, and they've managed a good result there. Even though they did not win that year, it was the Japanese team ultimately, but that was always going to be hard, because that Japanese team that did have Shoreyasu, Kayuya Watanabe, and Kenta Harana. Even though now in retrospect, of course, with Yuya on the team, we tend to regard it a little bit more critically. Let's put it this way. After his recent ban.
Yeah. So we have a mulligan for Helmut.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say who starts, but I think it's Adrian.
We'll see soon enough, and I'm just curious to see how it's going to play out. Remember, Helmut can still scry after this mulligan, but he's probably thinking if to keep at all. So what is his list like? What do you see that pops into your mind? Pops in your eye, rather.
From the Dread, we just call it Dreadhorde combos because there are so many different variances.
Mm-hmm.
This is the variants we saw, and this goes to 5.
No.
We saw last round as well. It's the variant with blue, which we have various combinations without blue, but Tamiyo is just too strong and Teferi, so we go for that one. Yeah,
I mean, I would call it the typical version. One, there's still a Sorin, Vengeful Bloodlord in the list, a one-off, and one that's been popping up a little bit here and there is a 2 Paradise Druid, and the removal suite is a little bit random here with 1 Cast Down, 1 Assassin's Trophy, and a Finale of Eternity in the main deck, which is quite unusual, I would say.
And I must say, most Dreadhorde decks don't play any removal, or very few removal, because their removal are the Planeswalkers or a Massacre Girl if they play it, which
there's none here.
There's none here. So yeah, it's quite a different spin on it, but that's usual. The things with Helmut, he always takes a bit of a different spin on the decks.
Yeah, but now it's going to be tough for him at Mulligan 5. As on the shuffle, take a quick look at the deck from Adrian Schrenk, which is Esper Superfriends, and I think it's like pretty usual. Like, nothing really jumps out at me. There's 1 Excellence Binding in the main deck, which I would say is a recent addition. 1 Liliana is there as well. 2 Elder Spell in the main deck, as well as 2 Dovin's Veto. So he came prepared for the mirror matches.
Definitely,
it seems.
And the 2 Elder Spell and the 2 Dovin's Veto you just mentioned are both a bit unorthodox because the Elder spell you often see as a one-off, and some most of the Super Friends decks nowadays completely skip the counterpart in the main deck because there's so much Teferis that you can't use it anyway.
Yeah, true. There's some master removal spells and Kaz Wrath and Crowded Carnarium, and the card I would want to see is Narcissus Reversal and sideboard. But let's see if we can get a good game one, because Helmut Summersberger starts at the Interplanar Beacon, then we tap Woodland Cemetery, so at least he's going to be able to do something. But Adrian Schrenk has the Thought Rages. He's gonna see what Helmut's working with.
A Teferi, the Dreadhorde, the command Dreadhorde, and
some card in the middle, and it's going to be taken. No, we can't see it just yet due to the glare. We apologize. Okay, so the Teferi goes. I think it might be another. Oh, it's the finale.
It's a finale, yeah.
The one-off finale of Eternity. Okay, so I'm pretty sure Adrian's going to be very happy about what he just saw.
Definitely, and he kept the card on top, so.
So he probably has a land and a spell. I assume it's going to be something like Narset or Teferi. Narset would be great. Yeah. There it is. It's so punishing to play Narset on an empty board. When you know your opponent can't pressure, you know that you're going to get 2 cards, either of the activations or like you get 1 activation and your opponent like has to use a spell to kill it. So you always feel like super far ahead, and at the same time you know that your opponent not going to be able to use any sort of like cantrips or chemistries inside or other cards just to keep drawing cards and get out of the hole.
So.
Didn't quite see what he took.
He showed the Search of Ascanta, so
another great card.
But Helmut drew a land, so maybe sometimes he will develop his board.
I mean, Helmut's still certainly not out of it. I mean, he's going to see the new card. It's a Vraska Golgari Queen in the middle, so that's going to take in because it's the closest one to being played, and looks like Adrian is not scared of the command of the Dreadhorde just yet. I think the best card that Helmut could draw in this situation would be something like a Jade Light Ranger or similar to get some lands into his hand.
Yeah, some lands and some pressure as well. There's the Search.
Yeah, decent board for Adrian, who has plenty of cards left in his hand. If he can keep going. Oh, I'm a prophet again. Oh, Teferi Time Rebel. I don't think he's gonna want it, though. You can use it to bounce the Jade Light Ranger if you really want to.
He just drew an Elder spell with the Narset, so probably not the best.
Yeah, he just wants to keep digging for lands. And 4/3 Jade Light Ranger is nothing to sneeze at. It can at least pressure the Planeswalkers if necessary. Yeah. If any more are going to come out of Adrian here, who doesn't want the cast down. Okay. That's a bad sign for Helmut. It's like, okay, you don't even want a removal spell for my creature. But Adrian has lots of like cards such as Kai's Wrath in his deck as well. So, and Oath of Kai as well. So that makes sense. He probably wants to draw some big business spells. All right, let's see. Can Helmut draw something? No 4th land, even though he explored in the graveyard twice.
So,
Search, yeah. Big decisions, but he's working his way towards the flip sooner or later.
Yeah, but I think it doesn't matter for him at the moment. He just wants to draw his cards, and if he flips or not, he's so far ahead at the board.
He needs some wizards now here with the Kazmina Enigmatic Mentor. Going to draw him a card. He's going to discard a card. Maybe a removal spell or like Cry of the Carnarium. Yeah. It's a cry.
You're a prophet, as you said.
I've been playing this game for a while, so it just makes all these things just make sense. Again, no land for Helmut. He's really he really couldn't get going after that mulligan 5. And to be fair, it's very difficult.
Sure.
Especially when you start on turn 1 Interplanar Beacon, you know it's not a good sign.
No, it's not a good sign. If he started with some 2 drops in his hand, maybe Milfolk Branchwalker or something like that, then yeah, you can work with it. You play another deck, then you play some kind of aggro, but yeah, this way.
Another Narset here, so gonna give more and more cards to Adrian. I think I saw Big Teferi.
Yes.
And just a bunch of lands, so it's pretty clear what he's. Oh no, it's a small one. Still
good.
Yeah, it still can bounce any card from Helmut Summersberger if it comes to it. And those wizards are gonna get rumbling in the zone soon. Oh, maybe Merfolk Branchwalker. There we go. And another Merfolk Branchwalker. It's like
another land.
I was like, just give me lands, please. I'm begging you. Okay, now we get a flipped search after Benning and Drown Catacombs, and now it's just academical for Adrian Schrenk at this point. And certainly he knows his way around the matchup. Now there's a big Teferi. I'm not mistaken this time.
Yes. Yeah, the bad part of Super Friends is the Esper Super Friends, you kill quite slow. So even if Helmut is doing nothing, you just do card advantage, and then you will kill sometimes.
Yeah. Even and at this point, even something like the Elder Spell is not even that great because the deck has built up already so much advantage over many turns that just one card is not going to do
reset
anything.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, we talked about Elder Spell being not being in Helmut's main deck. I assume
only has a one-off in the
sideboard.
Yes.
Whereas we see that actually Adrian has 2 Elder Spells in the main deck. He could actually go for the Elder Spell combo with the Teferi to kill his own Planeswalkers. To ultimate really fast and then just eliminate all of the other permanents left for him. And I wouldn't be surprised if he went for something like this eventually. Okay, so 2 lands untapped from Teferi after he attacks with one of the wizards. It looks like still no land for Helmut. There's the block with one of the wizards. What now, Helmut? Pass. Yeah, he's not giving up though.
No. But I think the Elder Spell maybe will... Oh, he just plays it out. I mean... I just would start to ultimate my Teferi and...
Yeah, but I mean, he can start digging for it. He could. I would have liked it if Adrian had used Search for Ascanter first before activating some of his Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
Because now he has a chance of finding something he might want to play. I think there's a Thought Rager. Yep. He's going to want to play here. Yep. So let's see what you're working on now. Maybe Helmut thinking about should I concede, not to reveal any more information.
I think he has a Teferi in his hand, but beside that...
Yeah, and now he's going to check out the graveyard, and then he's going to scoop. That's my guess.
You try to keep your profit status.
Yeah, well...
Yeah.
You see, I've been around this block a couple of times before. I know how these things work, especially when your opponent plays discard spell and you're like, let me think about that, you know, and you just have a look at the graveyard just to make sure you didn't miss any stuff going on, and then you just scoop so that you don't reveal any information. Maybe he didn't want to show one of his cards in his hand. Maybe it was another commander, Dreadhorde, or maybe some of the other stuff, but I don't think any of what Adrian would have seen would be surprising.
Yeah, I mean,
at all.
He has his own spin on the list, okay, but it's not something quite ordinary. And if he sees a one-off, if you don't know if you have it 3 or 4 times, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So some of the cards in the sideboards are quite interesting here. So I see that Adrian actually can bring in a bunch of different cards. He actually has his own Commander Dreadhorde in the sideboard. He has 2 of his own. So I assume those are going to make its way in. He also has Narset Reversal. And I heard that someone in the MPL, I think it was Eric Froelich, already managed to, when your opponent Commander Dreadhorde, you play this.
And
you get it, and you get everything in the graveyard that you want. And your opponent, once he gets to cast his own again, then he's going to be left with not much left to do. So that's pretty cool. He also has an Elder Spell that he might think about bringing in as well. Yeah. And probably Duresses.
Duresses, of course, yeah.
Maybe Spell Pierce as well, even though I don't like it that much.
No.
So maybe Excellence Binding, but I found Excellence Binding not to be that great in the face of Assassin's Trophies that actually are quite present, even though I think Helmut Summersberger only running 1 main and 1 in sideboard. So we'll see how that goes.
The question is, what is Helmut bringing? I mean, the Duress, of course.
Sure.
The Elder Spell. And the Assassin's Trophy.
Yes, for sure. I mean, he has stuff to board out, I would assume. I mean, I don't quite like Wildgrowth Walkers in this matchup. They're quite slow, especially if they don't come out on turn 2.
But I think you can't cut them completely because they support the combo a bit.
Maybe you can cut down 2, something similar. Maybe some of the removal spells, maybe like the Cast Down is probably very, very bad in this matchup. Finale of Eternity as well. And then I think he has to make some decisions on the Planeswalkers that he has, like which one he wants to keep and which ones he wants to cut. We'll see. I mean, haven't played enough with these decks just to know exactly how it plays out. But I would assume like this is not going to change as much, even though it's very easy to cut some of the Planeswalkers, right? Like you can cut like a Vraska, you can cut a Sorin.
Yeah, The Sorin is a one-off, but I think it does the least in this matchup because yeah, you can recycle one of your creatures, but it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, I think I would just cut all the Wildguard Walkers, even though like you can't really combo off with with a big command. Usually, the Esper Superfriends is not threatening your life total at all, and even if you can bring a 3 or 4, and for most of your life total, it's fine. Plus, you have the interplanar beacons as well that can gain you a little bit of life back. It depends on the plan because Helmut also has some Paradise Druids in his deck, so I wonder like how soon he wants to get on the board. Rather, how important it is for him. Because I assume the players are going to be discarding each other quite a bit, with Adrian not just having the thought erasure, but maybe some of the duresses here from the sideboard as well.
Yeah, but if Adrian trims down a bit of his... what he trims down?
Like Crab the Carnarium he can cut, maybe he can cut one Kaya's Wrath.
Yeah, but if he trims down on the Wrath effect, which is... Okay.
He needs to keep some of them, because like of the Explorer creatures.
You know, Helmut could have an explosive start with some of the Explorer creatures, maybe getting a big Jadelight Ranger. And
possible, yeah. I mean, you always need to be ready to answer the Explorer creatures somehow. But he still also has the cast downs. He will probably keep some cast rats. I don't think Kazmina is particularly great in this matchup either, even though it makes it more expensive for them to use.
Their
like
removal spells
on the planeswalkers, if there's some. So at least from that aspect, I can get it. But he can be quite spell heavy, and we're gonna see how it pans out. I'm quite curious to see.
So I hope we don't see mulligans. That's the
yeah. I mean that's the downside of paper Magic, right? We already spoiled people a little bit.
Yeah, but
with the arena.
Yeah, the mulligans in arena also occur less often because of the draw engine of the
So let's see.
And
no mulligans, please.
Yes,
we
want to see a game.
It looks like both players seem to keep.
Oh yes,
we got there. Fortunately. All right, so Helmut with a full 7. That for a change. Let's see if he can put up some pressure early. One of the ways that we saw these decks be quite good in the previous rounds was actually playing some of the early creatures was nice. We saw some Crawl Harpooners being brought in matches where you might not have expected them, and they were actually quite good at like pressuring early. So far, it looks like this is going to be quite a slow game.
Yeah, no turn 2 play, even with possible, I don't know, 10 or so 2 mana creatures. So that's a bit of a bummer.
Maybe a Jadelight Ranger here, or a Teferi off of the Interplanar Beacon. No, it's a Jadelight Ranger. See, okay, big Teferi. Probably not going to be too thrilled about that just yet. Depends on how many lands he has in his hand.
He keeps it.
He does keep it. All right, so I assume he has something going on in his hand still. And now if Adrian plays something like Teferi to bounce it, I also wouldn't be surprised at all. He might leave up mana for something else though.
I think Helmut has a small Teferi in his hand and opted to play the
Jadelight. Yeah, he probably wanted to get on the board first. But now I wouldn't say he gets punished because he can explore again after the Jadelight Ranger was bounced with the Teferi. Again, a calculated guess on my part on how this game would play out. Again, it was not that difficult. Teferi just ultimately warping this format. We've seen it in the past few weeks.
It's the most played card. It makes most of the decks.
It's just a great card, and I'm just happy it's not a mythic, just a regular rare. Yeah. Otherwise, it would be very expensive.
Yeah, I mean the price is high, but if it would be a mythic, it would be insane. The question now is, if you go for Jadelight Ranger again, and then there's something different. Vaska.
Not particularly great. Gains life of the beacon. Probably just pluses without sacrificing anything, I assume. Or maybe.
But with it, he must be very land heavy to sacrifice land, because otherwise he has, as he has one more land in his hand, he has the big Teferi. He wants to play next round probably. So
just plus and go. So now we'll see the game swing back and forth, I assume, with some heavy hitters here and there. Now with the plussing the Teferi, thought erasure in the draw step becomes a reality, and I love that that sort of line.
That's true, yeah.
But at some point,
So
Adrian will need to start doing other stuff as well.
does he?
Vraska is pretty threatening. Doesn't look that way, but it's quite threatening.
Yeah, if he comes to the ultimate, then at least. So 4th land and no play. Maybe we see some, but nothing in the draw step.
Interesting.
But a duress for Helmut, so duress into a 3-drop. Or even.
He has the Jadelight Ranger, so he can do that right away. So does he decide? I think it does say you can destroy target non-land per minute, cost 3 or less. Yeah, so he's gonna destroy the Teferi now, and the rest using the Overgrown to be interesting.
So he probably wants to go for the small Teferi himself.
Possible.
Okay, we have
Dovin's Veto maybe. And I mean, Adrian does play 2 in his main deck, and of course, that's age-old question. Should I? Oh, Narcissus reversal. Interesting. So I get to see it, not in a way I assumed, but now it actually kind of works out nicely that it gets returned to his hand, and Adrian Schrenk will resolve the Duress of his own. He can now discard the Duress itself if he wants to, but there's two small Teferis.
One big one, a land, and the Jadelight Ranger we already know.
Yep. So I wonder if he's going to take the Duress to protect the rest of his hand.
Otherwise, Helmut just could play the land and Duress again, and have a 3-drop.
It's possible that Adrian has something like an Elder Spell, so that he might not mind if Helmut actually starts playing Planeswalker after Planeswalker. Because Vraska and Teferi Time Rebel are actually not as threatening on the board. They don't build up to anything big, or rather, it takes a very long time to build up towards that thing. So there's the Teferi Time Reveler, gains life. The tricky life pad. Alright, so Helmut up to 22. He still hasn't played land either. We know he has a Watery Grave.
Yeah. And his opponent knows too, so Teferi doesn't need counters, obviously.
He's still thinking about what he wants to do. He should probably just draw a card. Not bouncing anything. Yeah, looks like that's what he's going to do.
And he drew another land, as far as I'm...
Right, so now at 5 mana, Adrian, does he have the Teferi? He does. So 5 mana Teferi untaps 2 lands, and now, I mean, he can't play any instant now due to the small Teferi on the other side of the board. But he's already very close to threatening the Elder Spell combo that we talked about before.
Yes, but we know, and he knows too, Helmut has the big Teferi, so he could play the big Teferi and hide his big Teferi.
Yes, and I think that's what he's going to have to do here, because he certainly has to recognize the possibility of something like that happening. So, and it was kind of like in the standard formats before. It was like in these mirror matches, it was like whoever landed Teferi last
would have the advantage. Yeah.
Yes. So now it might be Helmut with the one trying to get the advantage here. We'll see. Maybe he drew another Duress though, so he might want to check what's going on.
No, yes.
No. Oh, he wants to get the mana, sack it to Vraska, draw another card. Okay, he gains also 1 life of that. Yes. 21, 20, 20, 19. No, go the other way. It's actually quite fun. 23. There we go. Finally.
But we already were there, but then Adrian intervened.
He's trying to be a nice opponent. I mean, they're both writing down the life totals, but they're
Yeah.
also helping us, not so that we don't have to keep track of the life totals from the booth,
Yeah.
which is never a good thing, because especially now in this format with the beacon, Vraska always like 1,
Yeah.
and also dual lands coming into play untapped really fast for 2 life, for shock lands.
So I'm very curious what his plan is, because the fairy,
Should be the big fairy.
and he can afterwards play the branch walker.
Mm-hmm.
No, he can't, because
he's gonna run out of mana, but
yeah.
he can minus now, and I think he should.
And gains 2 life. Close enough.
Yeah. There we go. All right, tuck it.
Yeah.
Yes, we got there in the end. I think it's kind of like to be expected. I think Adrian kind of like knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, but I wonder what his hand is then, because
Like even now though, if he might not even go for the ultimate combo with the fairy, but now he can just elder spell 3 planeswalkers away. Just on an empty board is still
it's
great.
fair, yeah.
Especially if he has something like a Domin's Veto in his hand as a backup, he's still in decent shape. So I wouldn't. Depends on Adrian's hand, but I wouldn't be too worried.
He also could play a 3-mana planeswalker and then does it just for getting a lot of counters on it.
Yeah, maybe he's just trying to set up like a turn where he can elder spell all the planeswalkers and keep up Dovin's Veto so he doesn't get commanded Dreadhorde.
Yeah.
But it looks like he'll just play another Teferi here, and it's
Or not.
or maybe not. Yes. He is up a game, as we saw, so he can take the time. But it looks like another big Teferi. And
And
draw a card. I mean, again, as we talked about, he's not really threatened as much by the board of Helmut. Vraska's still only on 5. I think her ultimate is -9. So
take a while, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely takes a while. Plus, I think it's not as great because if you don't have, I mean, he plays creatures, but it just say you have to deal damage with a creature. So it's not like everything's going to end.
Yeah, it's not an automatically win.
Yeah, but the only thing I would be worried about here would be maybe Helmut playing the Elder Spell of his own. That could potentially be like very problematic because it would put 6 counters on the fairy. But Helmut first used the plus, so that line is not possible for now.
Helmut probably goes for both his creatures now.
Mm-hmm. He has 2 more small Teferis in his hand. Wow.
He's a green mana short.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he probably wants to play Jade Light Ranger and Merfolk Branchwalker.
So he goes.
Right, so there's the Jade Light Ranger again. Adrian keeping good notes. He knew about that. Tamio. Okay, that's a card I would keep.
Yeah. Even if I want a green source now, she's too good.
She's very good. Plus, the fact that she can bring back the duress.
Yeah.
To finally know what Adrian's working with is very important. Keep or no? Ooh, he's thinking. Maybe he doesn't know if he has the time yet. Maybe he is worried about the Elder Spell. Okay, doesn't want it. Helmut. Maybe he's digging for the command, the Dreadhorde. Yeah, I mean, at least the J-Light range is going to be a 4/3.
Yeah. And the deck really wants to give him Tamio, so...
Indeed.
And now I would definitely keep it, because the first time you could draw the green source and have another Explorer. Now you know you can't get the green source, so why put it away? It's just a great card.
Yeah, agreed. I actually don't mind him exploring the first one away. I think it kind of makes sense. Trying to give him more shots. He still has the land to play, a land drop for the turn, so even though it's not the green mana he wanted, it is at least an interplanar beacon. He might have also another blue-black land in his hand too. He can also use the Vraska to sacrifice, so I think this is what he's thinking. He might put in his graveyard and then try to use the Vraska plus to suck a different land to dig himself into the green mana, but I don't think it's worth it to risk it at this point. And he might just apply plus Vraska without actually sacrificing anything, just so that he keeps up with the land drops.
Yeah, think so too.
Yep, end of turn, untaps 2 lands with its fairy. So, Adrian, what do you have going on here? I'm very curious.
Yeah,
He has played very few cards. If you look at it, small Teferi, Narcissus Revolution, and just Teferi twice. So, Ready's 2 mana. Okay, those for 3 first. So maybe Teferi, small one.
Yeah.
And this is important. If this resolves, I think Adrian has won. I just think he has the Elder Spell, and I think he has had it in his hand for a long time. Judged with the way he played it, I think 2 black mana.
Yeah.
So
Boom, boom, boom.
1, 2, 3. Nothing. There's the handshake from Helmut Summersberger. He knows he can't deal with that at all. Adrian Schrenk would have then minus the big Teferi to get the ultimate, minus the small Teferi to bounce the Jade Light, kill land, and just keep going away. And the Teferi would still have 3 counters left. All right, so there's one more match going on, right? If I'm not mistaken, they're still playing. Let's just see if it's possible to move them to our main match.
If we can do that, it would be great to have more magic because the round is still around 20 minutes.
Yeah, and Adrian Schrenk at 5-0. I mean, it's still a few more rounds to go, right? It's 8 rounds.
Yeah.
But he's off to a great start, and I really like the version of his deck. He did really well.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And we can see how he sideboarded as well.
That's nice.
Put in the commanded Dreadhordes, Narcissus Reversal, Spell Pierce, and Duresses. Yeah, quite a big sideboard plan. So he boarded, I assume, a lot of his removal, which makes sense. And I like this plan.
And Helmut went for the Duresses, the Elder Spell,
trashing Chronoton as well. Maybe to hedge more against Ixalan's Binding.
Yeah.
And it's also a beater. I actually like the Brontodon. It's not that great against something like Teferi, but it's still like at least somewhat efficient.
Yeah. We heard the other feature table is 1-0 up, so we maybe can transfer them depending on the game state and if the game just doesn't end now with a 2-0.
Well, we'll see about that. I would love to see it because on the other table it's a friend of mine. Okay, so we don't know if there's actually going to be a third game because it's currently 1-0 to one of the players. We don't know which one, which is killing me because I kind of want to know what's going on. It's actually a matchup between, we just saw this one. Yeah. So Patrick Smatana, he's a Slovak friend of mine, actually lives like 2 minutes away from me.
Okay.
We travel in the same car. He's on Esper Superfriends, and he's facing off against Nico.
Stratil Sauer. He is an Austrian regular, playing a lot of Magic, playing...
it looks like banned mid-range.
Yeah.
Yeah, banned mid-range.
With
Go to Eternal Orchestra, Vivian, the deck that suddenly got less popular, but still I think in your game breakdown like third or fourth most popular deck after Mono Red and Super Friends.
We can have a look at the metagame. It's on our website. Banned midrange was the fifth.
Okay, I overestimated, but still like 14 people.
6. Okay. Yeah, 14 people. You see Mono Red, as I told, the biggest. Esper midrange and control, some Hero of Precinct 1 variants.
Yeah.
The Dreadhorde combo decks are all over the place. So you have the 4-color versions. You have different 3-color versions.
Yeah, nearly 10% in a room of 226 people or something similar.
That's quite. You have a lot of. Then you see it drops quite hard down.
We have Grixis at 7% as well as Is It Phoenix? I'm a bit surprised by the large amount of Grixis, but I assume it's different flavors of Grixis decks.
Yeah, it's different flavors, but they're control-ish, super friendish, whatever. Some most of them play Elder Spell main deck and want to go for the Nicol Bolas plan, of course.
Sure. Other decks than the usual ones. We have Is It Phoenix and just Super Friends still with reasonable double-digit numbers of players who are playing it. And then Gruul mid-range, Sultai mid-range already 3%, 2%, so very few people. The biggest deck in the room is Mono Red, but the most played decks at the top table seem to be the Esper decks and then Dreadhorde decks.
Yes, definitely. And you see the last 3 decks we have at the moment at the breakdown are Boros aggro, Mono Blue aggro, and White-Blue aggro, which is also White aggro with a slight blue splash. And there are very different aggro decks there is a Madu aggro and Raktus aggro. There are all kind of aggro decks around, all splashing a second or third color.
Sure.
Which is so if you combine that, then the aggro portion of the meta game would be much bigger. But if you look at now at the top 5 card decks, you have mono red and there is the combo or control decks.
Yeah, it's almost everything. Like it's mono red and then some mid-range decks.
Yes,
I would say. Even Isn't Phoenix is kind of like, it's a mid-range deck, but it kind of can pose as an aggro deck against the bigger decks.
And against the aggro decks, it can be the control deck because you have so much removal that you just play the one-on-one game till you have a big, not Phoenix, but Drake, and then win with it.
Now we see Adrian. Good job to him. Well done. Well played. I'm happy I read him like a book, even from here. I didn't see his hand, but it had like exactly that. We knew what was going on.
Yeah, but you have profit, so that doesn't count.
Yes. It's just experience. Trust me, it is just. Okay. But Helmut's still 4-1. It's a decent record, so just needs 3 more wins to guarantee himself a top 8 berth. I think based on the amount of players here, 7-1 will be guaranteed. But I don't think there's going to be many people drawing.
Okay.
All right, so we wanted to move the table, but it's not going to be possible,
no,
right?
it looks like the second game will finish, and then we have a 2-0 victory. Who's in the lead? Okay, your friend is in the lead.
Yeah. Let's go, Patrick. And I don't mean you.
Oh.
I mean my friend. But I'm happy with you as well. Of course, you've done a great job in setting up coverage.
Thank you.
Despite some technical difficulties.
Yeah, it works. It's okay.
All right, cool. So that's it for this round?
Yeah, we will take a short break, and then Matthias will be back with you for the rest.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it. All right, so see you guys soon, right?
Bye-bye.